For many generations in Africa, storytelling was used to teach children our history and to impart our most important values. And we all know that children love a good story. Thousands of children across East Africa today use and love eLimu's app because this startup is injecting new life into African storytelling. They do this by creating intriguing African storylines and weaving in them well-researched teaching techniques that have been shown to significantly improve the reading and writing skills of children. I believe that we should all pay close attention to eLimu, particularly here in South Africa, where the majority of children cannot read for meaning by the time they are in grade 4. Sam, CEO of eLimu, has some excellent ideas about how you can work with him to make sure that more children across Africa, and particularly in South Africa, have access to high-quality literacy content. Please help me welcome Sam to the stage.
Thank you. It's almost become a cliche to talk about a crisis with literacy in Africa. But for millions of parents, it's not a cliche, it's a reality. Where we're from in Kenya, 70% of children cannot read at the age of 10. And here in South Africa, it's even worse. 78%, nearly 4 out of 5 children cannot read for meaning at 10 years old. But what that means is there are millions of parents desperate for their kids to learn to read so that they can progress through school and become happy, healthy, productive members of society. Our solution for those parents is our reading app, Hadithi Hadithi. Hadithi Hadithi means story, story in Kiswahili, and it's what a Kenyan grandmother says to her children when she calls them around the fire to tell them a story. And that community-based approach is what we use to create stories in our reading app, Hadithi Hadithi. It's made up of hundreds of stories written by teachers, illustrated by artists, and voiced by actors and celebrities. Our stories aren't about apples and foxes and snow. They're about mangoes and markets and sunshine. But it's not just about stories, it's also about science. With each story, there are questions, spelling exercises, games and activities that make up the Reading to Learn pedagogy. And that pedagogy is shown to improve progress in reading and writing 4 times faster than traditional methods. I don't have time to talk about the many testimonies we have from parents and from teachers, but what I will say is that when we do demos, we get children coming to check out our app and staying reading with us for hours. So where are we now? We have 180 schools. We've got using our app in Uganda, in Kenya, and Somalia. We have 34,000 learners using it in 4 different languages, in English, Kiswahili, Lugbarati, and Somali. And this year, we generated $60,000 revenue. But our goal is to make mother tongue literacy apps in 10 languages across Africa in the next 2 years. And the reason for that is simple. Smartphone access in Africa is doubling every 2 years. And that means a growing market for us. In Kenya today, there are 3 million children aged between 6 and 8. Already 1.5 million of them, half of them, have access to an Android phone in their house. In South Africa, there's another 1.5 million. In Nigeria, there are 7 million children with access to an Android phone that could be using it to kickstart their education with our apps. And in the diaspora, there are also millions more families where children could be learning their mother tongue language, their own language, using our apps. So how can you work with eLimu? Well, we already work with school chains like Aga Khan Foundation to deliver our apps to schools in Kenya and Uganda. We work with NGOs like Norwegian Refugee Council to make the first literacy app in Somali that targets adults who missed out on school and is being used in Dadaab, the biggest refugee camp in the world in northern Kenya. But we need private partnerships to get to that expanding consumer market. So maybe you're a phone company, maybe you're a bank, and you want children signed up to savings accounts right at the start of school. Well, offer those parents a subscription to Hadithi and show them that you're as passionate about their education as they are. Right now, we're looking to raise $250,000, and what that will enable us to do is to launch a marketing campaign across Kenya and to build a business development team and a sales team to go out to schools, to talk to teachers groups, to talk to mothers groups, to talk to microfinance organizations, and develop sales channels all across the country. And here in South Africa, most importantly, we'll be able to launch reading apps for children who need it most in 2 South African languages, with South African stories, with images of South African faces and landscapes, read with South African voices. If that sounds like a story that you want to be part of, then get in touch.